Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Rav Dessler. We just want to ask a bunch of questions today. So we're doing Sfirata Omer. And let's ask the following question. Number one is we know that Lag BaOmer is the time that the students of Rabbi Akiva stopped dying. Well, what are we celebrating exactly? There was no one left. There's no one left to die. We're saying 24,000 people died. So what is the celebration about? What are we celebrating on Lag BaOmer itself? Okay, that's question number one. Number two is, don't you think it's weird, the counting itself? Hayom, Yom, Echad, LaOmmeerr. Right, what are we saying? Today is let's just change the word Omer, because Omer we know is a measurement, right? So if I was saying today is the second day in the kilo, would you think I'm crazy? It's like a weird thing. What are you counting exactly? Like, you're counting the Omer? An Omer is not even, is just a volume, right? It's a measurement. So we're saying today is the counting of the Omer. So what is the actual counting of the Omer really about? It's a strange thing. Now, like Rabbi Farr, he said a few minutes ago that there's a difference between obviously the Torah commandment, Usfartam Nachem, Nocheret Shabbat, right? The idea that you're counting the day after, right? You're counting on not the first day, but you're counting the second day up to 50 days. But the Torah doesn't tell us what we're counting for. Pasuk says, Usfartam Nachem, Nocheret Shabbat, Yom Hivetem et Omer, Tanufa Sheva Shabbatot Temimot Tiena. Ad Mecheret HaShabbat HaShvi'i Tisparu Chamishim Yom Hikraftem Minchat Chadasha LaHashem. Zero indication. You should count for yourselves from the day after of your rest day. That's the second day of Pesach. From the day when you will bring the Omer of the waving, the 7 weeks. Then you're going to complete that. And then the day after that, the 7 weeks, you shall count 50 days. You shall offer a new meal offering to Hashem. Like, what is that? So let's unpack something. Number one is that it's true that the students of Rabbi Akiva stopped dying, and there was nothing left to die. That's not the simcha. So some people say the simcha is that Rabbi Akiva did not die on that day. That really he should have been part of that gezerah. Others say that the magefa, the plague that those students were dying from, was contained to only them. It didn't spread anywhere else, and that's part of the simcha. But my question is, well, why did they stop dying specifically on the 33rd day? Why didn't they stop dying on any other day? So we said, I think yesterday, very briefly, we said the idea that what was the chisaron, the lacking between the students of Rabbi Akiva, was the fact that there was lack of kavod. There was no honor between the two. And we know that on the fifth week, on the fifth day, each day for 49 days has a different midah that is associated with it, and a midah within the midah. So, right, the fifth week is the midah of hod, right? And the fifth day is hod, sheba hod. It's the ultimate expression of hod, a double expression of hod. Who is emblematic of hod? Aharon. The fifth week, the fifth day, right? Each week has no, that's not today. I didn't do that. That's tomorrow, right? Each week has its own particular midah. Week 1 is chesed. Week 2 is gvura. Week 3 is tiferet. Week 4 is netzach. And the week that we're in right now, which is hod. So 5 and 5. There's 7 midot. This is 5 and 5. This is netzach. This is hod shebahod. Okay. So this is an overwhelming expression of this concept of hod. Hod is expressed by whom? None other than Aharon. Aharon, his special midah was what? Ohev Shalom, Rodef Shalom. He was the ultimate, expresser of the idea of Hod Shebahod, which is what? To love each person for who they are, to give kavod, to recognize their weight, to recognize how special these people were, and therefore, Mekubalim say it stopped specifically on this day because this is when we brought Shalom back to the world, where Aharon's midah expressed itself the most, and the dying stopped. It doesn't matter because they wiped out all of the Talmidim of Aaron. But now the question is, well, why the Omer? Why are we counting the Omer, right? So at the very least, we could say, well, we know that we're counting from Yetziat Mitzrayim to Matan Torah. That's the ultimate purpose. The whole purpose of Yetziat Mitzrayim is to get the Torah. What's interesting is that there's no mention of anywhere of Hashem telling the Avot that they're going to get the Torah. And that's just like a weird thing. Why didn't Abraham hear from God, I'm going to take your people out of Mitzrayim, I'm going to give them the Torah? There's zero mention of it. All Hashem says, I'm going to take them into a new land, right? I'm going to give you this land. Walk the land. It's your land. It says the same to Yitzchak, says the same to Yaakov. Shvatim, no, they're going back to Eretz Yisrael, going back to Canaan land, right? But there's zero mention of Torah. It's just like a weird thing. The Torah is like the epicenter of everything that we do. My question is, well, why didn't Hashem tell the Avot about the Torah? It's a good question, right? You think we some mention of it. This is like everything is about the Torah. So remember that the Torah itself is a strange thing. Well, the question is, well, why did Hashem have to give us the Torah? We see that Abraham was able to deduce aspects of Torah by looking at the universe, right? He understands that Hashem is all chesed, and therefore he wants to do chesed. He wants to be godlike, okay? And therefore he's bringing hachnasot arachim, bringing him into his ohel, with eshel shel Abraham, we say, right? Achila, shtiya, and levaya, right? Levaya. Some people say. Right. So that's true. That's true. But they say that what they say it's also levaya. That what was levaya? Walking your guest out. That's what I meant. The halacha is that when you have guests in your house. For levaya, not for the death. No. To walk with them. Right. This is why they say when you have people in your house, you give ochel and shtiyah, right, and you don't walk them out. God forbid you have a fire in your house. So people that often have fires in their home, they think back like I didn't do levaya. Did everything else now about levaya? Okay. Anyway, livui. Okay. Anyway, so you have a fascinating idea that we see that the Avot themselves were actually keeping aspects of the Torah, and the Chachamim point out they were able to look at the universe and see the universe itself, and the universe itself would tell them about different holidays in the seasons. So Abraham was aware of Pesach. Yitzchak was aware of Pesach. We see that he asked him to go ahead and he brings the korban Pesach. He's eating matzot. All these things are strange. So which means that ultimately the Torah is figure-outable. And if you could figure out the Torah itself, then why bother giving the Torah to the Jewish people? This is, I think, part of the reason why Hashem doesn't mention it. He doesn't have to tell the Avot about the Torah itself because you could deduce the Torah from looking at nature itself.
History would say otherwise.
Why is that? You could argue, by the way, that, for example, like the Code of Hammurabi, okay, which people will argue is like the precursor to the Ten Commandments, was part of humanity's ability to deduce these laws from nature, right? That Adam Harishon had a Mesorah of different concepts of Sheva Mitzvah B'nai Noach. These are all things that were there. Where do they all come from? There's no official giving of, and I'd say even more than that. What we said in the last couple of days with Rav Dessler was that really you don't understand anything. The Torah is infinite. You're finite. There's no way for you to be able to internalize any of this stuff. And whatever we understand is a gift from God. Right? Now, this is going to be strange. But, when you think about wisdom, right? Wisdom can be something that is innate, something that you find inside of creatures that already exist. For example, if I was asked to go ahead and build a dam, I have no idea how to build a dam. But beavers do, right? They know how to build dams. If I was to go ahead and ask to go ahead and make a net, right? A very sophisticated net to trap prey, I wouldn't know how to do it, but spiders know how to do it. Where do they get that knowledge from? It's wisdom. If I was asked to go ahead and make a hive, a beehive, where I could go ahead and turn the nectar from flowers into honey. Do you know how to make honey? I don't know. I don't have the ingredients to make honey. But bees have the ingredients to make honey. Even better, ready bread. How do you think man figured out how to make bread? You think some guy was sitting there, let's crush the wheat and let's turn it into a flour, let's add some water and yeast and let it rise and let's make challah? You think that's what they figured out on their own? No, Midrash says that Hashem gave man the recipe to bread. It's from God. It's the divine dove. You can't figure that stuff on your own. There's certain things that are innate. That are already wisdom that's already encoded inside of us. And this is why, if you're going to get a little bit more like sci-fi, when the Zohar says there's life on other planets, right? There's alien life on other planets, Zohar says. But they don't have bechira. They don't have free will. Which means that they're more like animals. So, well, how do you explain flying saucers according to that opinion? I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying this is one way of understanding it. Is that God could have easily have given creatures around the universe the knowledge of how to build all kinds of things. It's instinct to them. They didn't have to figure it out. They just were born with innate knowledge. And therefore, you could also say that there was a certain type of innate knowledge that the world had before Matan Torah. So now the question is, why did God give us the Torah itself? What's that? So one answer is that that's part of the answer. Part of the answer is that Am Yisrael reached a low level. They were so broken from Mitzrayim, they were no longer able to extract these things in the world. They were unable to do it on their own anymore. We lost it. In the same way of Yeridot Hadorot, you had it over there also. In combination to the exile itself in Mitzrayim, they were unable to do it. That's one answer. Another answer is it better when your parents tell you to do something or when you figure out to do it on your own?
Figure out.
So that's what I would think. The Gemara does not say that. The Gemara says, Gadol ha-mitzuveh, mishena mitzuveh. Right? One who is commanded is greater than one who is not commanded. Why? Why is that? Right? I always thought that my kids just figure it out on your own, and they don't figure it.
Show that you can follow orders.
Because there's something about the second someone says something to you, your nature is, I'm not doing it. I'm not going there. I don't want to do that. I want to do it my way. The nature of a human being is to reject what someone's telling you to do. And therefore, God specifically commands it so that we can get more zchuyot. Okay, that's great. Well, how does that explain how and why we count the Omer right now? Right? So simple reason is that we're counting up to the SShhaavvuuoott, to Matan Torah. Right? But even though the Pasuk doesn't say that, which is strange. Pasuk says nothing about Matan Torah. It just says you're going to bring this Omer, you're counting it. Now, we know that this period of time is when Am Yisrael received the man, right? They received the man and so on and so forth. Now, there's a fascinating idea that I want to kind of like try to bring out for you. This is Rav Druk, which is not Rav Dessler, but they're all related. Anyway, so this is what Rav Druk says. Rav Druk says that we know the pasuk says in Yeshaya, he says, "Vayah emunat itecha chosen yeshuot chokhmat v'daat yirat Hashem hi otzro." Okay, the Gemara in Shabbat says that each one of these words in this pasuk represent a different aspect. So, for example, he says over here that this is the Gemara says. The Gemara says the pasuk reads, "The stability of your time and your strength of salvation is wisdom and knowledge. The fear of God is in the storehouses." So the word emunat over here means stability, and this the Gemara says refers to seder zeraim. Itecha, your time, refers to seder moed. Chosen, the strength, refers to seder nashim, because you need a lot of strength to deal with them. Yeshuot, that was a joke. Okay, fine. Yeshuot, salvation, refers to seder nezikim. Chokhmat, that wasn't a joke. Chokhmat, wisdom, refers to seder kedoshim. V'da'at, that's knowledge. That's seder taharot. Okay, but at the end it says, Yirat Hashem hi otzro. The fear of Hashem is in the storehouse. That's what the Gemara says. So listen to how the Gemara continues. Right? The Gemara says when a person dies and he comes to Shemayim, they ask him a bunch of questions. Ready? Number one, the first question is, did you conduct your business transactions faithfully? Right? Did you set a fixed time to study Torah? Did you engage in procreation? Did you have children? Did you wait in hope for the salvation of Mashiach? Did you delve into the wisdom? Did you infer one thing from another? But even so, if fear of God was in this person's storehouse, then yes, he'll have a good, a favorable judgment. So now, what the Gemara is doing without saying it is that it's linking each one of these questions with one of the seder of the different mishnayot that are there. One of the sedarim, each question is linked to one of the seders, right? And therefore, the first question, right, emunat, is tied to, were you honest in business? That's a strange thing. What's the correlation between emunah and business? Now, ready? I think this is the coolest answer you're going to hear all day today. Right? It was worth, if you listen to this far, it could die just for this, they say. Ready? So the Omer is really a barley offering, right? Barley is something that grows. The Jewish people did not have barley in the Midbar. Okay? They had something called the man. Ready? So what Hashem is saying is like this. This is so deep. You think that barley grows naturally? It comes from Hashem. The emunah of the midbar is recognizing that you're not in control of anything. All your parnassah comes from God. The man came for 50 days. It was a lesson in emunah, right? Because we know that it fell and it spoiled. Fell and it spoiled. And you said that yesterday. The reason why it did that, because Hashem wants a relation with you, because He wants you to learn trust. Okay? He wants you to trust Him. So there's an overlay happening over here. For the Jewish people, for 40 years, they received the man. Do they know that the man was miraculous? 100%. The first generation did. But what happened to the generation of those people that lived? They were 40 years old. They saw mud every single day. That's normal. That's what we call nature. Now, when they came into Eretz Yisrael and they saw barley growing, what do they say? It's a ness. It's a miracle. Well, now we don't have that anymore. Right? So what the mind is really about, and that first question is about having emunah that everything is from Hashem. You're not in control. The whole concept of, why do we say Hayom Yom Echad LaOmmeerr, is why? Because what we're really saying is that the OOmmeerr grows is a ness. The same way the man came down was a ness, the OOmmeerr is a ness. There's an overlay over here. The 7 weeks of SShhaavvuuoott is all about us recognizing that we need to be in a situation where we're commanded to receive the Torah itself, because I get more zechuyot, but more importantly, I no longer have the ability myself to see Yad Hashem in the world. If I can't believe that everything is from Hashem, right? How am I going to believe that my parnassah is from Hashem? So you got to count the OOmmeerr. It's a lesson in training your belief. Like Yeshaya went out and they said to him, Rabbi, we can't learn, we got to go farm. He says, why do you got to go farm? He brings out the jug of the Midrash, he brings out the jug of the money. He says, look, your ancestors were sustained by this. What was he really saying? He's saying that even your farming is from Hashem. Now you think about it, you ever plant a seed? You have, right? You planted lots of seeds, right? Mm-hmm. So you take a little something, right? It's a nothing. It's a miracle. You take a seed. It seems dead. It's nothing. You bury it.
When you see it, you can believe
it's why does that even work? Who tells the earth and the seed on its own on the table won't grow? You put it in the earth, it somehow grows. How does that happen? And what ends up happening is the seed rots in the earth, but it doesn't rot on the table. Right? They found these seeds in what's that? The earth itself, it usually has some water inside of it. But yes, it's part of the water also.
Put water on the table.
And the seed then it also expands. It's true. Right? They actually have these seeds they found in the Dead Sea area, okay, that are 2,000 years old. They found date seeds. And they were able to bring it back. They actually planted these seeds in the UAE. They wanted a whole orchard of these. These are the sweetest dates on the planet today. Okay?
In the saltiest sea.
But it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like we took something from 2,000 years ago, and we planted it, and we grow it. It's crazy. It's insane. The ingredients, the information is in there. Hashem creates a world where everything we need is in it. And all we got to do is learn to have emunah. Why is the first question that they're asking me about you being honest in business? Because if you have trust in Hashem, how could you steal? How could you take something that's not yours? Because you know everything's going to come to you no matter what. That's what I believe the lesson of the OOmmeerr is. So it's all, the students of Rabbi Kiva didn't have kavod, they didn't have emunah either. B'ezrat Hashem, we'll continue this conversation next week. And we should all live in that world of clearest emunah, that everything comes from Borei Olam. It's Hashem's willing to give you b'shefa. Sometimes you got to let go and let God sprinkle His magic dust. Have a great day, everybody.